Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 2025 PBA Tour preview show here on Savage Bowling TV. I'm Scott Gilmore, and Chad Lester joining me too as well. I'm in the comforts of my basement.
Yeah, I'm at home, staying warm in my man cave. I got the fancy lighting. We're gonna have to work on getting you a setup, though.
Yeah, I got to work on that a little bit. No, I got a lot of things to work on, but that'll definitely be one of them. But want
You
to thank
sound
you.
good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Got a shout out to my son Landon, who's doesn't know it yet, but I'm using his Xbox headset. These things work pretty nice. I can see why they do all the gaming they do. But want to thank you guys for taking some time out watching our preview show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here this evening. We're going to go over the full schedule here on the PBA Tour. We'll talk about specific stops and all of the challenges behind scheduling these events for the upcoming season. Special guest PBA Commissioner Tom Clark will be joining us, along with PBA Hall of Famer, our close friend, Mike Aulby, and we'll be talking a little bit about something new for the PBA, giving Mike a little bit of a shout out here for the season. We'll also talk about the Battle of the Brands, the brand new PBA Elite League. Big changes from that standpoint, Chad. No more the Elias Cup battle. Now we're going to be talking about Battle of the Brands. We all know how passionate bowlers are about their favorite bowling ball brands. So we'll be talking about that. Some big shocking news here for the upcoming season is we call it the PBA silly season. Got players changing brands. Some of them you might be quite surprised about, and we'll have a full conversation on that coming up tonight too as well. And then we'll get into the PBA Rookie and Player of the Year races. We'll talk about the favorites, maybe some dark horses, and our picks, if you really care to know who we think will win those two. And obviously, there's a lot of challengers in that PBA Player of the Year race, and that should be quite interesting to talk about too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, before we get to all of our information, we want to thank our sponsors tonight, the Brands of Brunswick. And tonight is a big night for several of the brands under the umbrella, as it's release day. They've got some brand new balls, and we'll quickly go over these with you so you learn a little bit more about all the releases here for the Brands of Brunswick. Ebonite has the Crusher Hybrid. This ball is engineered for bowlers looking for length and explosive back-end flip. This cutting-edge ball features the dynamic HK22C optimized hybrid cover stock that ensures ease through the heads while delivering a powerful reaction on the back end. Looking forward to getting that ball in my hands too as well. And Hammer fans, you got to check out the 3D Offset Assault. Utilizing a hybrid version of the HK22C cohesion cover to create the ideal ball reaction, making this the first ball and maybe the only ball out of your bag. And also, Hammer fans, I know a lot of you are excited about the brand new Black Widow Mania. And obviously, the gas mask core, HK22 cohesion cover, and the Black Widow name. What more can you ask for, Chad? We know how big of a seller. Yeah, the Black Widow line has always been a great line for Hammer, and I'm sure this is too. And obviously, if you follow social media quite a bit, and Adam Barta out of Ohio, extremely talented player, he's been lighting it up. And obviously, if you follow Adam, he does a lot of giveaways. You guess his score. You can win a Black Widow Mania maybe. So follow Adam Barta if you get a chance. And on next, the Deviate Troublemaker Solid. This is a strong, big hooking ball created with a no-thumb bowler's needs in mind, designed with more options for drillings and reactions. And we know our teammate, Zach Collier in our league, who throws one-handed but with no thumb in it. He can't wait to get this ball in his hands too as well. And Radical has two releases with the Snapshot. This ball features a newly designed super symmetrical core and the new sensational HK22C cover. And finally, from Radical, the Outer Limits Solid. This popular Radical line features increased overall hook potential and a very usable benchmark asymmetrical performance. So make sure you visit your local pro shop to add one of these releases to your bowling arsenal. So big day for the Brands of Brunswick and their releases, and we appreciate all of their sponsorships to make a lot of our broadcasts possible, especially through the state of Indiana. So, and speaking of that, before we get to our guests, as we're waiting for them to pop in here, and when they do, we'll bring our special guest in for our tour schedule coverage here. But our live stream schedule really starting to pick up here, Chad, this month.
It's live stream season.
Yeah, January 31st through February 2nd, we'll be in Anderson, Indiana for the 25th anniversary of the Indiana Masters. And that's a big 3-day event. New to this year, they're going to have a Friday night qualifying squad. So any bowler that bowls league in Indiana and is from Indiana can participate in that tournament. And again, there has been a lot of the biggest names in the state of Indiana that has won that event.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with him adding the extra squad this year. Does he sell out all the squads? Because usually if it's a Sunday event, Saturday's a qualifying, and he'll sell it out. Jeff does a great job, and they're going to add that extra squad on Friday night, and we'll be live streaming it all weekend long, 3 days.
Yeah, and I looked at that schedule on Saturday. First squad's at 9 a.m. The last squad's at 9 p.m.
Which means it'll start at 10.
Yeah, and that
it's gonna be a late night.
Yeah, we're going to be there probably at 8 o'clock in the morning, and walking out of there at about midnight if we're lucky. Yeah. And that's going to be quite a day, but it'll be a lot of fun. We always enjoy seeing 400 plus entries, and obviously with the added qualifying squad on Friday, they're going to break the record for the number of entries for that event. Easily. So it should be a huge weekend in the state. Really the marquee event of the bowling season. It's kind of like in NASCAR, the Daytona 500 is the first race of the schedule. Well, really, most people feel like the first event of the year, calendar year, is the Indiana Masters. So, and then we'll move on to high school bowling. We're fortunate enough to be the official voice of the Indiana High School Bowling State Finals. We'll be in Expo Bowl in Indianapolis, February 15th and 16th for singles and team event portion of those two events. And nothing more exciting than watching the high school participants try to claim a state title to their resume and for their school. And one of the more exciting events that we do in the year.
Last year's event was awesome. Especially when we got down to singles. Remember that the championship match, both in the boys and the girls, very high scoring, almost a 300 shot on the boys' side. But if I remember right, one of the girls came from behind. She got way behind and then ended up coming back to win. So it was a fun match to watch and call.
Yeah, and it's always loud in the bowling center, jam-packed, all the parents and grandparents coming to watch their child or grandchild bowl. Just so much fun and very prestigious. And obviously the staff for the Indiana High School Bowling Association, they do a wonderful job putting on that event. And we're really looking forward to getting to Indianapolis at Expo Bowl for that event. And then our other big marquee event in March, the Indiana Queens. This will be at Championship Lanes March 1st, Saturday for that. We'll be broadcasting all the qualifying squads and the finals of that all in one day. And boy, this is a tournament that's really growing in the state of Indiana. The ladies are really starting to come out in droves to participate in this event. Really great to see. Jeff Circle and his staff have done a phenomenal job growing this event. And how exciting last year, the championship match and between Faith Hall and Natalie Tackett. And that was really exciting. And Natalie was able to claim the Queens last year. And obviously with the season that EJ Tackett had in the PBA Tour, what a great year for the Tacketts. And obviously with the birth of their child too as well. It's been really a big year for the Tacketts.
Yeah, if I remember right, EJ had made the show and was going to be on that TV show the next day or whatever, but we were teasing her. Okay, she's got her title now. It's his turn, and obviously he didn't come through. But yeah, the matches are really good. Once we get the match play, won't be surprised if we see a tie or two, and we have to have some 9th and 10th frame roll-offs. Scoring pace is usually not too high, but it's medium. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of talented ladies in our state.
Yeah, and really too, and we're seeing it on the men's side, but we're also now seeing it on the women's. You have all these young collegiate bowlers that are now bowling more adult events. And boy, these young kids, both on the boys and girls side or men and women, really
Oh yeah.
talented players. And of course, when you talk about the Queens, there's always several names that always come to mind, especially in Anderson. You have Shelby New, who's won that tournament before, and she's always one of the big favorites. And one of our biggest viewed live stream events, Chad, was at the Queens when Shelby defeated her sister
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
championship match.
That was fun. That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see Mike's joining us, by the way, Scott. Just letting you know, Mike is here. We'll bring him in a minute, and or unless you want to bring him in now. So
yeah, we could bring we could bring Mike in.
Let's get him in here.
Hey, joining us here on our 2025 PBA Tour preview show, a guy that everyone knows here in the state of Indiana and really nationally, a 29-time. I'm going to go over this, and you could tell me when to stop, Mike, but I'm just going to list a few things
you can
here.
Stop. You can stop now.
Yeah. But 29-time PBA Tour titleist with 8 majors. He holds the Triple Crown, the Grand Slam, and the first bowler to achieve the Super Slam, ranked number 6 on the PBA's 2008 list of 50th greatest players of the last 50 years. But most importantly, our partner in crime here on Savage Bowling TV,
oh, yeah.
the man that
so
makes
fortunate.
me, the man that makes me sound and definitely look good. No, I'm kidding. That makes me sound good, Mr. Mike Aulby. Mike, thanks for joining us here this evening.
Hey, it's good to see you guys. Yeah, no, thanks for. I can't tell you how much fun it is to be with you guys, and thanks for the opportunity to be that and continue to be in bowling. That's that's what's the best about it. We have a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're just about ready to embark in on the really the start of bowling in a lot of people's mind, and that's the PBA Tour. And joining us now is really probably one of bowling's biggest fans, right? The PBA Tour Commissioner, Mr. Tom Clark. And Tom, thanks for joining us here this evening, and always a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thanks a lot. I'm at a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm at a rest area between Milwaukee and Chicago. I stopped. I was at a really great bowling event in Chicago tonight that beat the champs, and it was really fun. A little kid, the PBA junior kid named Brady McDonough. You probably know him, the science guy kid. Yeah. He shot 300. He shot the first 300 in the history of this tournament. And, Kyle Troop was here, Verity Crawley, and it was really exciting. But it also went a little long, so I didn't make it home. I'm halfway home and calling you up.
Hey, we always appreciate the time. And I know really this is a real exciting time of the year for you because we're just a handful of days away from launching our first event in Delaware. And I'm sure you're probably on your way home and then probably going to at some point make your way out east to that event as well.
Yes, I'll be there in Delaware. Kicks off the season. We'll be on FS1 with the live finals on January 25th. And then the next week's the U.S. Open. We'll be at Woodland in Indiana, and the U.S. Open will be on Big Fox with the finals on February 2. So we start with a bang, and it's going to be very intense for the next 3-4 months of just a ton of action. I mean, the World Series is going back to National Bowling Stadium for the first time in a long time, and we've got 5 events there and a ton of live television. Of course, we're still finishing out with the Tournament of Champions back at Riviera Lanes, and it's going to be a pretty exciting season. A lot of action packed in, and things to look forward to. And one of the things to look forward to is we have an event named after Mike Aulby. He's right here, and that'll lift that classic event that leads into the World Series. Because anytime you can put Mike Aulby's name on a tournament and all the things he's done for the PBA on and off the lanes, and the model that he is for professional bowlers, they're going to want to win that tournament and shake his hand as much or more than any tournament this year. So I'm really glad Mike agreed to have his name on that thing, and that'll lift that one too.
Well, I have definitely some questions I wanted to ask you too. I guess. Obviously, you're probably like a kid in a candy store when the season rolls around. I'm sure everybody knows your passion and for the sport of bowling and all the knowledge and history that you have accumulated during your time as the commissioner. But, obviously you just spoke about week number 2 is the U.S. Open at Royal Pin Woodland, really a true historic host for the PBA. How important has it been, Tom, for the PBA Tour to keep Woodland and Indianapolis on the schedule?
Oh, it would be hard to have a schedule without Woodland on it. I mean, they've hosted every major championship that we've done. They've the fans are fantastic, and they come out in droves. The thing sells out immediately. Um, there's so much history on the lanes, and we've developed that at Thunderbolt. We've developed that at the stadium. We, of course, Riviera Lanes, but a lot of the classic centers that the PBA used to visit, there's a lot of them that aren't there anymore. So to be able to keep going back to the historic centers, I think really lifts any event that you're at. Yeah, you say I'm a kid in a candy store. I have news for you. One thing I can guarantee about every single PBA event, no matter how meticulous we are about trying to get everything right, something always goes wrong, and there's always imperfections. And I have to deal with those. And a lot of those imperfections, the players aren't thrilled, about those imperfections. Now, and what I always tell them, and I told them again in a note this week, is, it's not going to be perfect. Something always happens. And Mike knows this. I mean, there's always something. And it's the players that overcome that and can overcome the imperfections and look past them that become legends. They're the ones they're the guys that over time, they just don't let too many things bother them, and they're able to figure out the puzzle despite it being wrong sometimes. And those are the greats of the game. And we've seen a lot of them recently. I mean, EJ Tackett is one of those guys. Belmo is one of those guys. And that's why they're always on TV, and they're always going, and they're always making it, and they're always looking to break records. So that's how you become a legend in this sport, is overcome imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I have to ask, you talked a little bit about all the live bowling action on Fox and FS1. Obviously everyone eyes the majors, and we start week 2 with one of the biggest ones that there is. The one thing I've noticed is the expanded coverage that you guys are doing for some of these majors. Talk to us about how important it is to see more guys on TV, and how much more visibility this helps for the PBA Tour.
Yeah, I think there's you can find good and bad in it, but for example, at the U.S. Open this year, the top 9 after all the games and all the match play will make the step ladder, and it'll be an extended step ladder. So on Saturday on FS1, you'll see 9 versus 8, winner versus 7, winner versus 6, the winner then the winner versus 5, with the person who advances from Saturday's show being the number 5 seed on Sunday's finals for the 5-man stepladder on Big Fox. And what that Saturday show enables us to do is, like what you said, it gets more players notoriety, and they become familiar faces on television, and that's important for us. But what it really does is it enables us to promote Sunday's final with 2 hours of live television on Saturday. And golf does this. I mean, golf has on Saturday for the Masters, it's not the final, it's the round 3. And then round 4, the final is on Sunday. That's kind of what we're trying to do because of how important it is to have a large audience on Big Fox. Those opportunities to be on broadcast television, the PBA did not have for over 20 years since ABC dropped it. We were on ESPN. It was fantastic, but it wasn't broadcast television until Fox. And now Fox is putting every major championship on Big Fox. They're putting our playoffs championship on Big Fox. They're putting our league championship on Big Fox. And we have to perform, and we have to have large viewership in order for them or any other network to realize the power and the value of having bowling on their network. And getting time there, trust me, most networks are charging people a lot of money. Fox is paying us and putting us on these slots. So we should be really thankful for what they've done for us. and then we just got to make the most of it. And I think that having these extended finals for the majors helps us do that.
Well, it touched upon one big event that we definitely want to talk about, and that's obviously honoring the gentleman in our broadcast too here as well, Mike Aulby, with the Mike Aulby Nevada Classic. Coconut Bowl at Wild Island, the host in Reno, Nevada, a new
Yeah.
center to us. Tell us how honoring Mike Aulby came about and the significance to Nevada.
Well, we've always been a fan of Mike, and like I said before, his accomplishments on the lanes are legendary. But the way he carries himself off the lanes, what he's accomplished off the lanes as a proprietor and as an important member of the industry, serving as the president of the Hall of Fame board, the Bowling Hall of Fame and Museum board. Um, he's what we want every PBA player to understand, that they can have a career after they bowl. He's the type of person that we want them all to act like him, on and off the lanes. There aren't many people who will ever be able to bowl as good as he can, but people like Belmo was the next guy that had a super slam, and that we were able to bring Mike's name back up because he was the first to have a career super slam. So we just want to, we just want to elevate an event, and make it more important and have more prestige. And when you put a name like Mike Alby on it, that's what it does. So that's why we're doing that. Now, why in Reno? Yes, he's had a lot of success in Reno. Mike's won how many tournaments? 7, 9, 7. He
Yeah,
won a
something like
bunch
that.
of. Yeah, he won a bunch of them. He's had a lot of success there. But also it just fit in the schedule. We only have 4 classic events, and it worked in the schedule. A lot of people would say that a Mike Aulby tournament should be in Indiana, where that's his home state, where he's a legend. But the only tournament we have there is the U.S. Open, so we really couldn't do that. But a tournament like a Mike Aulby Classic can move. It can be in Indiana another year. It can be anywhere. But I think Reno is a pretty fitting place to start it. That Coconut Bowl, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a pretty crazy place. It's a wild place. If you look it up online, it's like a theme park. They have everything. They have everything you could ever imagine. It's almost like you could take a vacation and bring little small kids and have fun for a week at this place with all of the different attractions that they have. And the bowling center is really unique because there's 2 bays, but they're not facing each other. There's like one down this hall and one down the other hall, and the players are going to have to navigate both bays in this tournament. And then the finals, though, will be at the stadium and air in order with a number of the World Series events that are at the stadium. So it's a really unique event. All the qualifying and match play over at Coconut. Great guy there named Todd Thompson, who is a PBA member. Mike might know him, might
Yep, I
remember.
do.
Yeah,
I
knows
do.
Todd,
Yeah.
and Todd, he's a great guy, and he helps run that center, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to kick off kind of the World Series. And we also didn't want to do. We were going to do an extra event in Reno, and we already have 5 at the stadium. So we didn't want to do a 6th at the stadium because I understand players have favorite places and places they don't like, and so when you're stuck in the same place for 6 tournaments, you might go crazy. So giving them an opportunity to bowl in a different center completely before they move over into the stadium for the World Series, I think is good for the players as well.
Well, Mike, I got to follow up. When you get the call from the PBA and said, "Hey, we want to honor you with your own event here in Nevada," what goes through your mind at that point, and just how much of an honor is it?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things that you definitely, that's something I never thought about that was even a possibility. And Tom called and I said, give me 24 hours to think about it, first. And then, of course, Tom said, okay, but I'm doing it anyway. So, but, so yeah, it's very flattering. I'm very excited about going out there to be part of it. And it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot more fun being on shows when you don't necessarily have to throw a ball. It's like a little nerve wracking, when you got to throw the ball. But I was just thinking about, having a show, 2-day show with, top 9. I'm thinking, wow, I would have loved to try to get ninth and run the table once. Talk about some airtime, man. That would be pretty cool.
Well, if I remember correctly, you talk about, bowling. And if I remember a halftime kind of like the All-Star, and here Mr. Alby is throwing strikes left and right. You won the one event in that All-Star performance. I mean, you haven't lost anything, Mike.
Well, I think I've lost quite a bit of, brown hair into the gray, but yeah, that event was pretty cool. And somebody said, "Oh, yeah, you beat a bunch of NASCAR guys." I said, "Well, hell, I had to throw a strike to win, doggone." I mean, it's like, of course, but yeah, no, it was when Tom gave me that opportunity, I had to think about it for 2 days, I think, but because I, really don't bowl much anymore, so I didn't want to embarrass myself for the PBA, but it was something that to this day I still think about it and had a blast and a lot of fun, and we just had a great time there, and I can't thank Tom enough for including that. So.
Well, if I remember right, you got a really cool trophy when it was all said and done, right?
Really did. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, I wasn't used to have to run up and grab the trophy yourself. I mean, back when I did it, they kind of brought it out to you, and that so it was a little different theory, but but no, it was a lot of fun. I had a blast, and then judging the trick shots and all sorts of excitement during that show. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was the Legends match that we did there. That was really special to me because I mean, what was the lineup? It was Norm Duke led off. I think Mike was second, Parker Bone third, Pete Weber fourth, and Walter Ray anchor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the greatest team ever assembled right there.
Yeah, it was great. The thing with that too, Tom, was that I threw a strike on the first ball. That's the first ball on TV in 20 years. So I was more than excited to do that. And then of course the next one looked like I hadn't thrown one in 20 years. But then when it comes time for the tie, we tied, and then Norm's bowling, and I'm thinking, oh, holy crap! If he strikes, then it's going to be up to me. I'm not sure I signed up for this, but but no, great. Like I said, it just was so much fun.
Well, yeah, and obviously it's going to be really cool to see. You're out there at Coconut Bowl, which obviously it sounds like a cool place. I'm telling you,
it sounds like a place.
I'm gonna have to go look it up. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, anytime you put Coconut Bowl and Wild Island, how can you go wrong, right? But I want to. Obviously, that's a cool thing that we can't wait to see the Nevada Classic in your honor, Mike. But one thing, Tom, that we definitely has created a little bit of chatter here is the battle of the Elias Cup, the PBA Elite League, now kind of going away. Fans really seem to have responded well. And the league, obviously, you just expanded it. What happened with that event, and how tough was it to see it go away, even though we do have kind of something new sliding in?
Yeah, no, it was really tough for me just because we put a lot of work into it, and the managers of the teams that existed are just the top of the industry, great people, Amleto and Norm and Couch and Mark Baker and Carolyn and Del Ballard and I'll forget somebody, but I mean just having them all, so Timmy Mack, having them so involved was so fun to work with them and put together that league event every year. And I think it created fantastic moments. I mean, the championship match this year, Andrew coming through in Portland with the crowd chanting against him, and he just comes through, and he's the MVP of the whole year, and then he's the MVP of the tournament, and I thought it was fantastic. So we had to do it. We had to switch, because we needed to work with our partners a little bit more, our bowling ball manufacturer partners. And if the league had started the way we're doing it this year originally, and it really was my actual original plan, was to make it about ball brands and have each team be a ball brand, similar to NASCAR or like what you see with Formula One racing now with the Constructors Cup, where there's teams competing within an individual event, for a brand. And if it had started that way, I'd say it'd be great. It would have been great. I couldn't at the time, 10 years ago, we couldn't get all the ball brands to agree to do that. So we made the league work the way we did. But now we have all the brands wanting to take this on, and I think, like you said, the fans react to it well because fans and people that bowl have an affinity for bowling ball brands now. I mean, there's just people that feel like, well, I like Storm balls, or I like Hammer balls, or I like DV8, and so they already have this. They use those bowling balls, they invest in those bowling balls, they bowl, and so they have a rooting interest immediately. I think, as you guys know, one of the biggest steps for any aspiring bowler is to sign with a ball company. And now when you sign with a ball company, it means more than just getting balls or maybe even be on getting paid. You also are going to be on this team now. And now performing becomes doubly important, not just for yourself as an individual in these tournaments, but you've got to perform for your brand. And so every pin is going to count, even if you're not going to make a cut. The points that you accumulate during the year are going to go towards your team, your brand, totals, and that's going to result in the standings. And then at the end of the year, when they're going to bowl together, they're going to be in an extended step ladder as well. So the number one seed is in the championship. So what you're going to see all year long is people jockeying for position to get that number one seed and have the most powerful team. It also incorporates something we're all really fans of and have fun with, like fantasy football, where these teams and these brands have more than 5 players on their rosters. But before every tournament, they're going to have to designate 5 players from their team. And they're going to have to make really tough decisions because like when you play fantasy football, you don't want to leave your best player on the bench. You don't want someone scoring 40 points and you didn't even play him this week. So that's going to be an interesting thing to follow and see who these brands chose every week. I noticed this week that 900 Global actually asked the fans to pick who their players would be. That was a pretty good strategy, I think, and because it just gets everybody more involved. So I think that it has a lot of potential, to be something that people can follow easily and comes to a climax at the end. And the final championship round will be on Big Fox.
So will since they're bowling for, your specific brand, like if you're on Hammer's team, will you have to throw only Hammer? Or is there restrictions on what you throw?
Yeah, well, there's 2 different ways. So during the season, no, you're going to be able, like if your Storm, for example, has 900 Global and Roto Grip as, sub brands at their company. Yeah. And so like they can during the regular year and like they always have been able to, if you're on 900 Global, you can use Storm balls, you can use Roto Grip balls, you actually can use any ball you want, but their companies are going to make sure that, that they only use the balls that they're signed for, or they're not going to be on those brands anymore. And so during the year, it'll work like that. But then when you get to the final, you're only going to be able to use your brand. So if you're on DV8, you're using DV8 balls. That's it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
That really shows.
Oh, Scott just went muted. No, I think what we'll see from this is we're going to see a lot more. I was a big fan of the old way you were doing it, but I think this is just going to be even better.
Great.
So it's not a Bayside this year, though. What went into that decision?
Well,
there's a lot of
nothing to do with Bayside. I love Bayside. God, we'd have every tournament there if it was up to me. I mean, it's so fun. It's awesome. It's such an awesome environment, and great owner and great fans there, and their leagues that they run there are unbelievable. It was really the thing that saved the PBA League. It was kind of struggling the first couple of years. And when we found Bayside Bowl, that made everybody that's all they wanted to do is make it to Bayside Bowl and be part of the league. So it really saved it. It gave us a jolt of energy that we really needed. This year it was just the schedule didn't work out because we have to be done on Fox by May, in the month of May. And the times where we usually had been doing Bayside had been September, and we don't have slots with Fox this year that late in the year. And we had done other things in July there. So it just didn't work logistically this year. But we'll be back. We'll be back to Bayside this year. This year, the finals of the Battle of the Brands League will be at Thunder Bowl, which is another one of my favorites. I mean, and when you're in that arena, the Strobel Arena, it gets loud in there, and it's probably the best place to watch bowling. I think is in that arena. I don't know, Mike. Did you ever bowl in there?
No.
No.
Maybe
No.
one time, I think, on a regional or something, but it's been
Mm.
a long time ago.
Yeah, like Marshall Holman won his last tournament in there in '96, I think it was, and then we never were back there until we brought the World Series there in 2008 and 2009, and that's become a favorite home of ours too. And I think it'll be an awesome environment in that building as well, because the fans in Detroit are fantastic. There's so many bowlers. There's so many bowlers there, and Thunder Bowl has so many leagues, and so they get excited every year to pack that arena.
Are you back, Scott? I don't know if he's back. Looks like we got a lot of young talent coming up. Ryan Barnes, Cam Crow, Nate Stubler, bunch of guys. Future's in good hands. What do you think about the future of the PBA?
Yeah, well, we ran the tour trials this past summer, and that's where all those guys got in. So I do have this sense that there's a changing of the guard and a whole new era, a whole new generation of players now have that chance to be out there every week. Nate Purchase, another one. He was a rookie of the year last year, and he made it out of tour trials as well. And I think that it's really going to change the dynamics out there, because a lot of them are two-handed. There's more two-handers on tour than ever. And so the two-handers that have been out there and had been rare. I know everybody thinks that's all you see is two-handers, but that's only because Belmo's on every show, and Simo's on every show. But there really still weren't that many compared to one-handers. But now it's getting closer. And as you guys know, I mean, that changes the traffic on the lanes. It changes the way transition happens. And if you thought you had an advantage, well, now there's a bunch of other guys that do the same thing, So I think it'll be really Bug Kroll. Look what he did last year. I never would have thought that.
Incredible.
I mean, he came from out of nowhere, and he was he has so much power in such a small frame. It's amazing. I still don't know how he did it. When he won the playoffs, I was sitting next to Norm Duke, and I just said, Norm, tell me what he's doing. Like, how is he able to generate this?
Yeah.
And Norm explained it to me, and I still have no idea what he said. So that's the way Norm is.
You're right. We met him at the U.S. Open, and we're like, he's a little guy, and he gets a lot into that ball. Yeah. We have a viewer question here. What's the latest with the Fox contract? Is there an alternative if there was not a renewal? I didn't know it was up, but.
Yeah, 2025 is actually our last year of this current contract. So whatever happens after that, we're still working on, and people are working on it. Bolero and Lucky Strike, as it's now called, and they're working on that as we speak. And I've been involved with those conversations, and we don't really know yet. So, but that's why I really just don't want to underrate the fact that Fox has us on broadcast television, and we need to make the most of it this year and show that we can get large viewership on those opportunities.
Yeah, they've made a big difference ever since they've taken over. The quality of the shows are good. They seem to care. And,
well, what they added
really
with,
enjoy it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, whenever we can get Rob Stone, I love it. He's first class, and so having him on shows really ups our prestige as well. But where I was really proud of their investment with us, besides the broadcast slots, was Strike Track, and because I wanted to do that for 20 years, believe me. And every year we try, how can we do this? Well, we could record stats, and then after the fifth frame, say what's happening. I'm like, that's not what I mean. It needs to be real time. And Fox invested a lot of money to pay for that, working with Kegel, Specto, and I really think that's an advancement that has brought a lot of people closer to the game, and you can now understand the precision, necessary to be a professional bowler, and how how the target area and the break point area on the lane, how important both of them are, how important ball speed and revolutions are, and accuracy. And some of the players use it to see how they're doing. Kyle Troop looks over at the screen every shot, to see exactly what did I do on that shot. And I really think that's helped the fans understand the game a little bit more and understand there's a lot more going on maybe than they thought. So I've been really happy that they did that.
Yeah, it's a great addition. You mentioned Rob Stone, but another addition you made just past year Fox made is adding John Fanta to the broadcast. Didn't know a lot about him. We knew a lot about him from basketball, covering college basketball. But man, he just stepped right in there and acted like he had been calling bowling for 10, 20 years.
Yeah, people that get to that level, a national broadcaster that's sought after. And John Fanta is younger than you think. I mean, he's a young guy, and he's only like 34 years old or something. What you see from the greats and people like him that one day will be thought of as a great is the amount of research that they do, the amount of preparation that they do. I mean, he would never sit in that booth without having watched 10, 15 shows and read every single note about every player. And he comes in and he knows more than you could believe he would know, because to make it to that level, you've got to do that kind of stuff. And he did that, and I think he genuinely enjoys it. He really enjoys it. Like Rob was a guy that knew nothing about bowling.
Oh yeah.
And he was just trying to get any job at ESPN. They asked him to do bowling, and he did it, and he's become to love it. It's something that he just considers part. He doesn't have to do it. I mean, and he does it because he loves it, and he loves to be out there. And so hopefully, I think he'll be on the U.S. Open this year. I think he'll be on the U.S. Open in a couple weeks. Yep.
Good. Well, I don't have any other questions for you. Scott's having technical difficulties, as we see. Tom, thanks for joining us tonight. Best of luck in the upcoming season, and maybe we'll catch you down the road.
I wanted to see who I was giving a free advertisement to. It's Auntie Annie's.
Auntie Anne's, great pretzels.
Yes, you want to get some pretzels? This is the place.
Dinner at Auntie Anne's. There you go.
Well, thanks a lot. Always good to see Mike. And
thanks, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you real soon. Hey, good luck at the summit. I can't be there because of the tournament, but have a good time in Vegas.
We will try. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
Okay.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, Mike.
Hi, Chad.
It's just me and you. Let's see if Scott's back. Hey, are you there? No, he's still muted.
There he is.
No. He's got help. So we were going to go through. Oh man, let's see. Scott's got this all written out, but he was supposed to lead the show, so I'm going to try to take over. Let's talk about the silly season. A lot of people switch brands. We're going to kind of go through what the most surprising top four. The first one, was Kevin McCune. He leaves Hammer, joins Storm. I think he'll do pretty well. He had a really good, successful stint with Hammer, so he'll do pretty well with them.
Well, you just kind of wonder why the switches. Sometimes what spurred that on. Is it is it money, or is it the equipment? All those are big decisions. Big decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Justin knows. Goes over to Rotogrip. I couldn't get it. There was no really official announcement that I found, but he was shooting 300 here and got a shout out from Storm. And I'm just trying to watch to see if Scott needs back in. And Andrew Anderson leaves Motive, heads over to 900 Global. He was with Motive for a couple years, and now he's moved over. now he's got a bigger arsenal, more brands he can throw.
Right. Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see if that helps him or hurts him. I mean, it just depends, because sometimes having too many balls to choose from
Most
can
definitely
just be overwhelming. Scott left us all. He'll be back. And then the biggest one that that was really a shocker is Matt Russo. I believe he was with Hammer before. Luke moves over to Motive. We'll see what happens there. He had a really good year last couple of years, actually. He's had good years. So those are our top 4 surprises of moving over to a different brand. And Mike, did you have ball contracts? I know did you actually have a ball contract with Hammer or
no,
Brunswick, I guess?
No, I did have, I was with Brunswick in 81, 2 and part of 83. And then I went away from that, and then I ended up with another ball contract with Brunswick in 96 and 97. I was more into the just, I like to had the freedom of using what I thought I could win with, And, through the years I was on, I mean, there was all sorts of issues with, especially with the way the balls changed so much, from rubber to, plastic to rubber, then you got urethane, and, all those changes were then reactive. And so there was a lot of different things that came about. And, I mean, there was one time when I was with Brunswick in the early 80s, 81, the Brunswick had the edge in urethane, and it was not good. And then the angle came out and the hammer came out, and boy, it was like, having a paper wad fight. You didn't have anything to throw or shoot. So, so I just felt more comfortable to stick with whatever I felt I could use at that point.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
We can hear you.
Yeah, boy, technology. All of a sudden, my headset shuts off, and then all of a sudden, I couldn't hear you guys.
Nothing.
So I apologize. So I actually had to.
Went over
we saw you brought IT in.
Yeah, we saw Karen on there.
Yeah, she's a smart one. I actually had to shut things down and turn it back on. So who knows? But I see you guys are talking about.
We knew you'd make it back.
I see you guys are talking about the silly season, and I hated to lose Tom there at the end. I really had some pressing questions I wanted to ask him. I'm kidding. But we talked a little bit about the guys changing brands, and Chad, I apologize if I don't know what y'all you have mentioned, but with Matt Russo coming off a historic year for himself, a career year, over $145,000 in earnings. He won a PBA title and won second in the World Championship. Mike, as you know, when you're going from one brand to the next, it's not just switching to a different company. You have to learn everything over again, right?
Yeah, and it's all those situations. You kind of wonder what's the backlying reason. Is it you just didn't like the stuff anymore, or is it EJ's making too much money on, for Motive, and they needed to free up some money, but things like that. I mean, you just don't know where that comes about. But when you make that move, I mean, like you said, there's a time that you need to know what ball to go to when you need to go to it. Those type of things. So, but the guys nowadays are so strong in their mental games and their physical games, and the ball reps can get you up to speed pretty quickly. And the key for anybody that switches to another company is don't lose your physical game. Stick to what don't try to make something happen with the ball that you're not comfortable with. And I think that's where the ball reps come in, and we're able to steer anybody that switches in the right direction this day and age, I would think.
Yeah, it's just a real surprising move from a young man that, obviously coming off a career year, 7th in points. In 2023, he was 24th in points, so he made $100,000 more in 24. But the other thing, too, is when you have a brand that has 5 or 6, 7 different ball companies, and you can throw all those, you go to a brand, nothing against Motive, but you go to a brand with one, boy, you're really putting a lot of stock in research and
Yeah, for sure.
But on the flip side too, it's like I was mentioned with Andrew Anderson leaving Motive and moving over to Storm Products. 900 global, he has now more to choose from, and sometimes that can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing.
But you look at it too, and both those the guys you talked about had, like you said, had great years. I mean, Andrew Anderson, I mean, he, like you said, he was he had one heck of a year, and those type of things. I mean, those are when you're hot. Those are the times if you're looking for something else, or a little more payment, or whatever it is, or you just feel like you're somebody's talking it up for you better, and you think you can do better there. You know, it's like anything in sports. When you have a good year, you're at your top. So that's when you're going to have your best opportunities to maybe do some other things. So that could be it too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out for
For
them,
sure.
and hopefully in their case they made the right choices. And
Yeah.
both, all these guys are tremendous young players,
Good
and
guys. Yeah, good guys.
you wish them nothing but the best. But you're putting your whole career at stake when you're making these type of changes, and it's real interesting to see, and it will be interesting to see as the season progresses if they made the right choice. And Mike, since you're still here, we're gonna keep you in here for the rest of the show if that's all right with you.
Sure.
But
Oh
we
yeah.
want to
You bet.
we want to talk a little bit about the PBA Rookie of the Year race, and really several young players, first time PBA players coming in that could be the favorite. And the first one that obviously comes to mind is the son of a future PBA Hall of Famer, Ryan Barnes. And really, Ryan showed just how good he is with his TV appearance on the PBA Players Championship. And he was able to earn his exemption through tour trials. And with momentum coming into it, he's coming off a win at the USBC Tour Trials. This
Huge.
kid has
Huge.
all the talent in the world to maybe actually not just compete, but maybe win a stop here.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's a given. I mean, he's picking up more and more, I guess, experience, and but who more better to bounce off of,
Mm-hmm.
questions or anything about what to expect and see, but your mom and dad, who are two of the best players ever to throw a bowling ball. I mean, between Chris and Linda, I mean, what a wonderful family. And but he's blazing his own trail for sure.
Yeah, tons of talent. And obviously he comes from a really good, not only bloodline, but bowling for Wichita State collegiately. That program has churned out top players after top players for quite some time.
Well, Gordon Vatican, I mean, obviously led that school and those teams for so many years. Mark Lewis and Rick Steelsmith's done a pretty nice job of the last few years for himself. So it's just amazing the talent that goes through Wichita State. But the coaching is top notch in its entire history. But yeah, no, Ryan Barnes, I would say I wouldn't consider him much of a rookie anymore. He's shown he's already moved well past that.
Yeah, other players that come to mind, and all of these players made it through tour trials. You have Cam Crow, a young man from Illinois who's a real hard throwing two-hander from the left side. He has all the talent to make an impact on tour, and for these guys, and especially probably like Cam, what will the growing curves look like, right? It takes time to really figure out the transition. You guys, and I say you, Mike, because obviously you're one of the all-time greats. You probably had a learning curve of how lanes transitioned and how the pros broke it down compared to what maybe even some of the amateurs do, right?
Yeah, and more, early on, earlier in my career there was movement, but not as the balls changed, and now the balls have changed, but the power has changed, and the revolutions have changed, and it's just so much more different, and it all depends on what everybody's throwing to how it's going to break down. So you've gotta be way out in front of those changes. I mean, you can't afford to give up, a half a game trying to figure it out when there's, especially on tour. I mean, let's face it, there's always a bunch of guys or girls who are using their A game. If you got to throw your B game, you're already at a disadvantage. So, and I talked to a player not too long ago and was asking some questions, and it's still all about the tricks. How many releases and speeds, and how many can you play fifth arrow like you can play first arrow. I mean, you still have to have all those tricks and be able to make all those your A game. And the ones that work the hardest, they're the ones that are going to get there.
Yeah, yeah, and those that can learn quickly, learn on the
Yeah.
fly, right? I mean, you just
Mhm.
have to, and a lot of these guys, and you heard it even from like Brad Miller and Kyle Sherman, who do a wonderful job with their video life of their tour seasons, and they even talked about there's so much learning involved in how much you can absorb and then apply the next week determines a lot of times the outcome of your season.
Yeah, I had a great time with those guys at the Go Bowling race in Watkins Glen here this past summer. They two wonderful guys, great guys. Had a blast.
Yeah, three other players that I wanted to kind of highlight here. Hayden Stipich, young man from Pennsylvania, another two-handed lefty who has a real solid game. Also, Andrew Hall, right-hander from Massachusetts. And then Chase Nadeau, a kid from Las Vegas who now lives
Oh,
in
you bet.
Colorado.
No, his
He's
dad.
another
Yeah.
right-hander. Yeah, he's got a lot of talent. So,
Mhm.
and has done quite well on the regional tour. So
Yeah.
those are some guys to think about, obviously, for this year for the PBA Rookie of the Year. And but let's move on to really what a lot of people want to talk about, and that's the PBA Player of the Year race. And of course, guys, you have the usual suspects, right?
Mhm.
Number one, obviously, EJ Tackett. He's the king of the mountain right now. Back-to-back Player of the Years. Really, guys, no one's hotter in the sport than this young man from Huntington, Indiana.
For me, I mean, through the years, I mean, you think back of like a Mark Roth or Earl Anthony and Jason Belmonte. I mean, there's only a few players that you think about and go, I mean, what's going to stop them? And EJ's one of those guys. What I mean, what's going to stop him? I mean, he just continues to upgrade his game, and his mental game has gotten more solid every year. He's got more solid. He's obviously got the physical game, but it's the mental game that separates everybody from the other guys. So EJ has fit into that really well. He's got the confidence. He's got a young family. I mean, he's got the desire. I mean, it's the full package, and he's a good kid. He's a good family. But yeah,
Yeah, and
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to knock him off the top for sure.
yeah, obviously with the birth of his son, boy, yeah, as I was talking with Chad before you guys came on board the show, life's been great for the Tackets, right? And and really, there's no better player on the planet right now than EJ. And you think about another guy though, if it wasn't for EJ, Anthony Simonson
Yeah,
has had two historic years. And we could be talking about Simo as back-to-back player of the year if it wasn't for EJ Tackett. So now, will the 28-year-old, 1 year older, 1 year wiser, can this guy claim his name on the top of the mountain? Because there's probably no more versatile player than Anthony Simonson.
no, Simo's got the tricks. He's got them all. I mean, he knows how to do them, and so many different A games he can use. The only I can say that's been his problem the last couple of years is bad breaks. I mean, he's
Mhm.
just had some shots that just didn't work out for him, and then this one shot could have turned his whole year around, type of thing. So, yeah, he's always going to be there, and it's just a matter of getting a few of those breaks, and it becomes a totally different season for him. But yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah, talk about tricks. Anytime you can win with a backup ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he's been Mr. Consistent over the last couple of years, though.
Yeah.
And that
No, and
he's
he
just knocking
shoots some
right on that
spare,
door.
yeah, spares and splits he shoots. I mean, it's just there's not anything left that he can't pick up.
yeah. Well, couple other guys that you always think about. Obviously, Kyle Troop, the pro with the fro. Kyle's been one of the best players on tour the last 5 years. I believe he set an earnings mark just a handful of years ago. Can this be the year that he adds a Player of the Year to his resume? Because that's the one thing that's really lacking from his resume at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of settled in. I mean, to just be in top five. Here he is, top five, and he's going to win some and not get there some. But it's just one of those things. He wins a couple of the right ones, and he's obviously able to win the majors. So uh, he's one that wouldn't surprise you if he was player of the year. He's a great player, and he's a great face for the tour. and bowling for that matter.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the more, really, to be honest, one of the more personable and approachable gentlemen on
Oh yeah.
tour.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Good kid. His father did the same thing. He obviously watched his dad Guppy and what he did, and he kind of expounded on that and has done a great job.
Well, one guy you have to put on the list regardless, Jason Belmonte. And really, when was the last year that the King of Majors did not win a title? I mean, think about that. When was the last time he didn't win? And you thought Belmo had a bad year. He still finished fifth in points. He had over 145,000 in earnings. But it's hard to imagine a year that Belmo's not a factor, right?
Oh, exactly. And I mean, it's just amazing that he can fly back and forth and still have
Yeah.
legs and do what he can do the middle part of the game. But he's a businessman on the tour. He's got off the lanes things going. He's got a lot going on, but still is able to bowl at a top level. I mean, sure he's getting older, but I think it's more of the fact that he's still on those shows. It's there's a lot of kids now that can do similar things, and but but he's one of those guys that can still win anytime, and doesn't matter what it is, he can win several times. So yeah, he's always going to be included in that discussion to be the player of the year.
Yeah, two guys that I think you still have to think about, and one Marshall Kent, who's coming off a career year, and Bill O'Neill is another player that you really can't ever rule out. But some guys to think about that are right there on the cusp. Chris Vi, we just showed a picture. Chris Vi, he finished 11th in points, but he always seems to be knocking on the door of a win and just kind of a breakout year. And can this be the year that the young man from Ohio can do it?
Great game, great
Mm.
solid game, really good guy. I mean, it's just maybe just needs a little more bite. Just get a little more in there and go after it a little more. I think he's got the. I think he has the confidence, and he needs to get one of those breaks where he gets one and wins a big one, and might you'd be surprised how that takes someone's career off. Just take off
Yeah.
like a rocket.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this young man from Michigan that switched brands to 900 Global in the offseason. But Andrew Anderson has all the tools to be a tremendous player. Obviously, you're starting to see that. Last year was a big year for him, coming off a really a record-earning year for him. Will this new brand, this switch, will that give him a little more this year? And he's coming off as Tom Clark even mentioned, a MVP season for the Elias Cup.
Andrew. I mean, I think that he's one of those silent assassin types. His mental game is so strong, and you may not necessarily see it, but he's a guy who was Player of the Year years ago, and then had
Mhm.
just a really difficult year. And you think, boy, is he going to be able to recover from that? Boy, has he recovered from that? And that's not an easy feat to be at the top and then have that really tough year. But he's able to do that, so that tells you how much heart he's got. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's near the top all the time.
Well, one of his best friends on tour, and actually he won a doubles title with, to me, one of the bowlers with possibly the prettiest games on tour. Can the Shark claim his crown at the top, being Player of the Year? This guy is tremendous player. He seems to be in all the big money events right there at the end. Kind of surprising. He had somewhat of a down year for 2024, but you kind of like to think this guy's going to rebound.
Yeah, I love Chris Prater's game. I mean, you talk about it, very compact and smooth, but boy, the power is there, just effortless power. And you're right,
Mhm.
he's in all the matches. I mean, he's there for the big ones, and he's won the big ones. So yeah, I enjoy watching. But he's another one of those guys that I remember more about the unfortunate breaks he's got than stealing one. Those you got
Right.
to find those ones where you get fortunate and then make them count. But I just think it's more of just the unfortunate luck he's had it a few times. But no, he's a great player.
Well, one kid that I think could be a dark horse for this upcoming season is the two-handed lefty Dio Bernard. This kid really started to shine in the World Series of bowling. Obviously Matt Russo pretty much owned the World Series this past year. But
Mhm.
Dio Bernard was another kid that pulled quite well, and he could be the sleeping giant in this 2025 season.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't know him at all, and I got to bowl in that thing in Phoenix. That they have with the NASCAR people, and he was there and got to talk to him, and head on his shoulders, well above his age, and obviously his game is solid as a rock, and but he's been winning a little bit already. So yeah, I agree with you totally on him.
He looks like a young man that needs to get a permission slip signed to get out of school, right? To go bowl, right?
I agree. Yeah, he's a good kid, but you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very unassuming.
Yeah, they're so young, but I want to kind of get I have my picks for Rookie of the Year and PBA the Player of the Year.
I do too.
Chad, I'm going to go to you. Give us who you think is going to be the ones that take these awards.
Yeah, there's so many names, but you can't go against Ryan Barnes. I mean, great bloodline. There was a picture that was posted on Facebook comparing Chris and his game and the mannerisms and the style, and they look so much alike. But yeah, Ryan Barnes for me.
All right, Ryan, who you got for PBA Player of the Year?
I like Simo, but I think Kyle Troop's going to come through this year.
All right, so we got our picks there.
But you can't go against EJ. But
I know.
No,
It's hard to win.
I'm
Come
not
on.
going to go with the popular pick.
Mike, who you got for Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year?
Well, screw that. I'm going right to the popular pick. Give me EJ Tackett. I mean, it's
You're going to hold it to us, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Right.
unbelievable. I mean, yeah, we'll be talking about this all year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's EJ's just so strong, and he made so many shows. My gosh, you talk about the year he could have had if he'd got a few breaks here or there. Oh my
2 years ago.
Yeah. So I think the hunger is still there when he gets out there. So I think he'll be fine, and it's him.
Well, I'm with Chad on Rookie of the Year. I think Ryan Barnes is just too darn good. I would not be surprised for him to win his first title this coming season. Who knows? He could win the Mike Aulby Nevada Classic, right? You just never
Exactly.
you just never know.
Could.
I'm telling you, obviously we're all big EJ fans here on this channel, especially being from Indiana, and just a tremendous young man. I really think this is Simo's year to get it done. I'm going Anthony Simonson for Player of the Year. He's been really, really good. But yeah, I tell you what, regardless, these guys are going to have their handful to knock the guy off the top right now, in my opinion.
There's
EJ is just
not going to be any gimmies. There's not going to be any gimmies.
No. So there you have our Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year picks. And now, Mike, we're going to throw a little surprise here at you. But we are going to play a little game.
I got the doorbell. Excuse me.
we got a little game here that we're going to play that we're going to keep for the season. And this is called the PBA Season Challenge. And the object is each of us will pick a PBA player from the points list in groups of 10. So these are players that finished. We'll get one player from the top 10 in points, one player from points 11 through 20, and then 21 through 30, and then 31 through 40. And then we'll have one in points 41 through 50. And then we're going to pick anybody that we want outside of the top 50. All right. And I gave you some examples of who that may be.
Nice.
So, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this in order. I'm going to be the nice host, and I'm going to let Mike. We can have the same players. We're not going to choose.
I want to know.
We're not going to. Yeah, we could have. We could potentially have all same 6 guys, but so how this is going to work is in each event, you will get points based on their finish. So if you finish first, you get 1 point. If you finish 50th, you get 50. The person with the lowest point total at the end of the season wins. Obviously, we want the lowest point total possible. So you'll take your 6 guys and you'll add them all up. Yeah, just like golf. We'll have a running total. We'll update these at all of our live streams throughout the course of the PBA season, and we'll do some social media posts, and then we're going to try to incorporate some of our fans that watch our shows, and we're going to get some picks from them, and then we'll have some giveaways, and we'll do that. We'll announce that stuff here in the next week or so. Obviously, the season kicks off, so we'll start it from a different point later on. But since we're all here and we like a little competition, and we're all going to claim we know more, but anyway. Well, I'm going to let Mike. I'm going to give you the first pick in the first 10 players. Chad, you can show the list. Mike, I hope you can see those.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. But it'd be really cool though if you couldn't pick the guy I'm going to pick. It'd be really cool if we had that one.
Right. Well, yeah, we'd have a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure I know who you're going to put for your first guy.
It's tough though. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, it's EJ or it's Simo. I mean, it's I love Kyle Troop, so I can't have all three, huh?
No, you can only have one in that group.
And a dark horse will be Jesper, of course. So let's do. Shoot, I didn't even mention Belmo. How's that? Huh? I'm gonna stick with EJ.
All right. So Mike takes EJ Tackett. All right, Chad, I'm gonna let you go.
I'm gonna go with Simo. Work off the consistency here. If he's going to be as consistent as he has been.
Yeah, and really, I mean, 4 or 5 of these guys you're not going to go wrong with. No. And you never know when you have a player, even like Bill O'Neill, who could surprise you, or Boo Kroll, who bowled real well. But I'm going to go Simo too. I'm not that I don't want EJ Tackett, but I'm going Simo. He's my Player of the Year pick. So now we're going to go round 2. I'll go first this time for the picks 11 through 20th and the points. And I'm going to go with Mr. Anderson, Andrew Anderson. Chad?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough group right here.
It is.
I'm going to go AJ Johnson.
Good pick.
I really think he's going to have a good year this year.
Well, he did well in the Team USA stuff. I mean, he did solid.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I like Andrew Anderson too.
All right, that's your pick.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, you haven't gone first yet, so we'll give you first pick here in round 3. Players 21 through 30.
All right.
You see, fans, we haven't researched this. So we haven't really researched this list.
No, Scott just gave it to me 30 minutes before we started the stream. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Chris Prather.
You haven't checked on this, Chad.
No.
Who'd you pick?
Chris Prather.
Well, that's because he was 21. That's why you picked him at the top of the
21 to 30.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you go.
Oh boy. So who is Richie T?
He's from England.
Well, that helped.
I mean, I don't know him personally, Mike, but I just know he's from England.
Well, the PBA cards, I bought like 3 or 4 boxes of those things, and that's like all I kept getting Richie T. So I have no idea who the heck he is.
He's a good player. He's on I believe he's on Storm staff, if I remember. He's on the Battle of the Brands.
Did you buy any of those cards?
I have not. I need to though.
The metal leaf ones. I bought 2 boxes, and I did get a pack that was unbelievable. And the last card in it was the 4 quad autographs of Belmo and EJ and Simo, I think, and I forget who the other one, but the top 4 unbelievable autograph cards. Anyway,
wow.
Back to another story here. Let's see.
A guy wins at everything, Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other box wasn't, I could have thrown it out in the parking lot and I wouldn't lost anything. Boy, that's a tough one. There's not, I mean, it's like a pretty thin after Prather, isn't it? Well, I'm going to have to pick Prather just to stay with Chad.
All right.
Yeah, keep up with
you know what? It's more surprising that Chris is in this group,
Yeah.
right? Because you just
Mhm.
don't. You always
Yeah,
figure
he's
he's
in the
a
top 10ish. Yeah.
yeah, top 10. I'm going to surprise you guys here because we can't be the same at everything, right? Part of me thought Dom Barrett's got to rebound a little bit, but I'm going to surprise you guys, and I'm going Eric Jones, the young
That's a
man,
sneaky pick.
the two-hander. He has been really good. Here's the thing: for a lot of times, if these events, if your thing stays in play in some of these events, Eric Jones and even Dio Bernard, those kids are going to play. So, all right, round number 4, group 31 through 40. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and give you the first pick.
Well, I can't tell you how happy I am to see Matt Sanders on the list. I'd love to see him have a great year, just one of the great guys. So, let me go with hmm, Nate Stubler.
Hey, that's a solid pick. Good young player.
Scott, since you pulled this list, there's a question in the chat that I just put up.
Yeah, I see. Cliff says he thought Kevin McCune was top 10 in 2023 point list, but not in the 2024 points list. So Kevin had a really good year in 2023. That's when he won the PBA Players Championship. But he'll be coming up shortly on our list, but he was not in the top 40 from this past season. So we got Nate Stubler for Mike. Boy, it's hard. I tell you what's more surprising here is Tommy Jones at 37. Hall of Famer. Really, I'm like you too with Matt Sanders. I want to see Matt have a tremendous year. I picked. I made a comment about Dio being a surprise.
Yep.
I'm going Kyle Sherman. If he can stay healthy, I think Kyle can have a heck of a year. All right. Did you pick, Chad?
No, I haven't. And you said you want to see Matt Sanders have a great year. I want all lefties to have a great year. Lefties kind of struggled last year outside of Matt Russo in the World Series, and so I look at Matt and I look at Jacob, but that since lefties didn't fare too well, it kind of almost makes me want to stay away. And I hate to say it, being left-handed myself, and you two are left-handed as well. I'm going to go Kyle Sherman. I agree with Scott. If he can stay healthy, he's going to have a good year.
A lot of lefties in this group. I tell you, one guy to not be surprised if he does well, and that's the guy at 31st, and that's Patrick Dombrowski. Really talented player out of Ohio, does real well on the regional tour. So yeah, it'll be real interesting. Okay, we're gonna go round number 5. This is picks 41 through 50 in the points, and really surprised here to see one guy come to mind. That's Sean Rash here at 42nd. Yeah. This is when it's going to get a little challenging. Can Chris Barnes, as a senior player, can he make some noise? This is where it gets real interesting. Sean Rash has always been real consistent as a player here the past few years. I am going to go with. Boy, this is tough. This is a tough one. This is going to sound crazy, but Francois Lavoie cannot have another season like that again. And I'm going to go with Frankie.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, go ahead.
Yeah, this one's tough. I feel Sean, he had a little bit, he's fighting that back injury last year. Is he over that? Is he going to, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go Sean Rash.
All right.
I'm gonna go Nathan Bohr.
Yeah, I was looking at AJ Chapman and Nathan Bohr both on this list.
Both the Wichita kids.
Yeah.
A lot of Wichita guys, right? When you think about it, Sean Rash, Wichita. So Chris Barnes. Okay, now we're going to have one pick out of the top 50. Now, if you want to quickly go on pbatour.com and pull up the points list, I just wrote down some guys that made it through tour trials that were outside of the top 50. And obviously some of these guys didn't even have uh, still bowled a full season, but we're outside that top 50. But these are some options. There are others if you want to look online. I know this is kind of a challenge. I can only put so many, right? So
Chat, help us out.
uh,
Come on,
the
chat.
only thing is I don't know about Brad Miller. He's obviously not on the exempt list, but there's only like 3 or 4 tournaments, if I'm correct, that he would not be eligible to bowl in through the PTQ. So he's going to be bowling a lot of these anyway, I think. But
Oh, for sure.
I'm gonna give you first dibs, Mike.
The easy one's obviously Ryan Barnes. I'll have to do that.
Chad, why don't you go ahead?
Sean Maldonado.
Yep.
All right.
And he'll make some shows.
Yep.
Yeah, he has in the past. Obviously, some guys that I think could Chris Barnes made a comment about Chris Sloan. Watch out for Chris. He's fully exempt this year. Two-hander out of, I believe he's from Ireland, right?
Yeah, and EJ mentioned him as well.
Yeah, some guys that could really surprise you. Obviously, Cortez Shanks, another young, talented player. We all love Kevin. There's not many players more versatile than Kevin McCune.
You see the Tim Foy Jr. pop up every now and then.
Yeah. I got to go with my rookie of the year. You talk about certain guys and can he fulfill the big shoes, right? Following in his dad's footsteps too as well. He's proven that he can play well. I'm going to go with Ryan Barnes myself. So we'll post our list. We'll follow the points, and we'll have a season-long points list here to go over and find out who really knows how to pick their team of 6. Yeah.
Is there an IR spot or a bench? Do we need bench players?
Yeah, we can. So that's if a guy gets hurt, I think we do have to look at
redraft or something in that list.
Yeah, be able to replace within that bubble of where he was at. So yeah, we'll do that if somebody gets hurt because we want to make sure you get ample points, and we'll also do too if something happens and they're not in the field, we'll make sure that we'll get with everybody here amongst us 3, right? And get that taken care of.
Unless they're suspended for some reason.
Yeah. I've learned a couple of things tonight. First, make sure you charge your headset all the way so you don't get it shut off in the middle of an interview. I learned that tonight. But I wanted to ask you one question, Mike. When Tom was around,
again. Wait a minute.
Yeah, when Tom was around, how cool would it have been for you in your prime years to have an event like this Battle of the Brands or even the PBA Elite League with the Elias Cup? How cool would that have been in your time frame?
Yeah, I mean those specialty events you can't beat those things because it's just a select few and they're not the normal events. So it's like the doubles was always kind of cool because it was different. We had the Reichert Cup when the foreign players came in and bowled the World Open, which is kind of cool. If you got picked for the Reichert team for Team USA, you got to bowl against the other guys, the other foreign players. So anything like that was always just a really cool deal that you got to go. I missed out on one, which when I first started, I just missed the Great and the Greatest, which was a doubles tournament. But it was like at that point, it was Don Carter, Dick Weber, all the old timers from the 60s and 70s, and bowling against the guys from the late 70s and early 80s. So there was like the top 16 of the old timers and 16 of the current players, and it was a doubles deal. So the mixed doubles, those were always kind of fun. Just something that was different, and you earned your way there. And the team event thing is really cool, though. Tom knows his stuff. He knows how to create those events. You know, he's just so
Yeah.
good at that. He loves the game, obviously, but he loves the PBA, and there's no other leader of any sport that cares for his sport more than Tom.
Yeah.
Well, just having the ability to think outside of the box and things like that. Obviously, college bowling is pretty popular, so that helps. Especially with the young kids nowadays coming out of college onto the tour. Now they get to kind of continue that team event portion.
Yeah, Tom's son's a pretty good bowler himself. So I'm not sure, I forget what college he's bowling for, but he's a solid player.
Yeah, it's like well, there's another Marion, but it's something like that in Wisconsin.
You're correct.
Yeah, and actually the rookie of the year, Nate Purchase from last year bowls with Rory at the university. So or had, and obviously now he's going to be on tour full time, but anyway, Mike, want to thank you for your time. And
got a question here.
Yeah, how often are you guys going to do the show? Well,
we don't have a schedule, but we want to do more.
Yeah,
we'll
we're going to try to do more. Yeah, hopefully we can line up some guys from the tour season and get them during some time away. But we thank you for watching, and Mike, we're going to let you step away. I'm sure you got things to do. It's getting late here on a Thursday evening, and always appreciate your time, and can't wait to connect again on February 2nd for the Indiana Masters.
Yeah, look forward to a good time. Always a good time to spend with you guys. Yeah, be careful. We'll see you later.
Thank you. All right, take care.
All the best. Thanks, Mike.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, Chad. Well, I got some notes I've taken. Charge your headset. Do all the right things before you take the air, so you don't, I guess, have your technology shut off, and all of a sudden I couldn't hear or I couldn't speak. So I want to close out Mike there.
And see you, Mike.
Yeah. Well, but enjoyed this tonight. It's always great to catch up with Mike, but really cool to hear from Tom Clark, the PBA Tour Commissioner. We know he's about to get really busy for the next 3 or 4 months, as we have quite a few events, and a lot of these are pretty congested in together. So guys are going to be not a lot of shutdown for the next 3 months, and should be fun to catch up with the PBA Tour action here. And obviously you can follow along all the PBA Tour action. Just become a subscriber to Bowl TV. You can watch all of the events. Craig Elliott involved in those in the past, so they do a wonderful job covering all of the PBA. I know Tom Hess does a lot of work for Bowl TV too as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job. We're subscribers and really enjoy watching those guys, and it's cool to watch everything progress throughout the week and then watch it on TV on Saturday or Sunday.
Well, our time is pretty well up. We want to thank obviously Tom Clark and Mike Aulby, our guests tonight here for our first ever podcast here on Savage Bowling TV, the 2025 PBA Tour Preview Show. We hope you enjoyed all of the information that we pass along, and we'll make sure we post all of our results from our PBA season challenge that we have coming on. I want to thank our sponsor, the Brands of Brunswick. Obviously, launch release day today for several of their brands: Hammer, Ebonite, Deviate, and Radical. So head to a pro shop near you, your local pro shop, and look into some of the great balls coming out from the Brands of Brunswick. Just a reminder, fans, we'll be in Anderson, Indiana, January 31st through February 2nd for the 25th anniversary of the Indiana Masters. That'll be our next live stream broadcast. 3 days of wall-to-wall coverage, starting off with Friday night's qualifying squad, and then all day Saturday, and then the top 32 match play double elimination on Sunday. Chad, we know that's one of our favorite events, and we need to make sure. Yeah, we need to make sure we get a hold of Angie and get us some chocolate chip cookies on order before we get there, right?
We need to get plenty of rest between now and then, though, because it's a long day on Saturday.
Yeah, if you've never been to Championship Lanes, tremendous bowling center there in Anderson. The staff there, phenomenal. We can't wait to go back for that. And then, obviously, February 15th to 16th, the Indiana High School Bowling State Finals. live from Expo Bowl. We'll have the singles championship, both boys and girls, and the team event on the boys and girls size too. Should be a fun weekend down in Indianapolis. And then our next third big event, really for the live stream season, will be back at Anderson for the Indiana Queens on Saturday, March 1st. So it should be a fun live stream season, and we look forward to bringing you all the live action here from the state of Indiana.
Sounds good.
Well,
I can't wait. It's a busy
yeah.
season, but it's all worth it, and we enjoy it.
Well, I thank you for all your work, Chad. Thanks for filling
you.
in during my
Thank God I had some
surprised
questions.
exit. Yeah, that's why I make sure you have everything you need. But
Yeah.
appreciate all your hard work.
Yeah, no problem.
And fans, we thank you for watching the first podcast of what we hope will be many right here on Savage Bowling TV. Enjoy your rest of your evening and have a great weekend. And we thank you for watching. So long from the basement and from his cool looking room, right? Enjoy, everyone.
Yes.
See you later.
Hey, guys.